Well, welcome to the Grants Forum for Principal Investigators. Thank you all. This is another highly anticipated session for our grant space. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump in. So before we get started, few things to keep in mind. You may view the live transcript by putting your screen into full screen, clicking live transcript, and then clicking show or hide. You will be able to access this recording after the session on the Elevate website, and you may ask questions using the Q&A feature. We do just ask that you be patient with us. We'll try to get to your questions throughout the session. We may answer your question as the content rolls through. Yes, let's go ahead and keep going. All right, again, welcome to the Grants Forum for Principal Investigators. I'm going to pass it over to Janice, who will tell you a little bit more briefly about our team that's been working on the grants and effort side of things.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? So my name is Janice Oakley. I am the grants lead for the project at UMD. Wendy Yu is the effort lead. Samantha Stahl is from Huron. She's our grants on our grants team. Zach Keys from Huron. Tatiana Thavante from is our training specialist from UND. John Acaro is been grants and effort lead from Huron, and Jess Jacobson, post go live, will be our grants lead from the West team. Next slide, please. So we're going to go over today what is staying the same and what is changing with Workday. From the appearance of the award, new functionality of the award, using the award lifecycle, and proactive spend controls, changing the way that we're managing cost share and effort certifications. We're going to preview the PI dashboard capabilities and the management of subawards. We will have a question and answer period at the end of this session. So if you can please hold your questions till then, will be greatly appreciated. If not, put them in the chat, please. Next slide. So what's staying the same? So quality research will continue to be the pre-award system of record for College Park, where Workday will receive its awards and sponsored agreement data. What is new is award financials, expenses by sponsored agreement, and at the award line level, obligations, which are the payroll future spend, and commitments, which is the non-payroll spend. I'm sorry, obligations is the non-payroll future spend, and commitments is the payroll spend. The amount that has been invoiced to the sponsor, and you can have detailed award budget information. Workday allows for detailed budget data at the object class level. Another new feature is notifications. You will be able to receive notifications from the system when the award is in Workday, and when there are actions for you to complete, such as approvals for subaward invoices and award tasks to complete on the programmatic reports and effort certification. Your search bar, which you can search by the award title or partial of the award title, and also sponsor billing. Using the billing and receivables tab, you will be able to view what has been invoiced to your sponsor. Next tab. So let's talk a little bit about the notifications that the department personnel will receive. Next slide. So at award setup, the PI and the grant manager will receive a notification in their Workday inbox that the award is set up and available for spend. And should there be award tasks that are driven by the sponsors, such as and broken down between financial and programmatic, the reporting requirements that are due and when they can be maintained in the Workday system. Reminders of due dates and notifications can be sent directly from Workday and assigned to the SPAC accountant in our central office, the grant manager in the department, or the principal investigator. Next slide, please. So this is a screenshot we wanted to show you of how the notification will appear. It will have your award number and a parcel of your title, and you can click anything that's in blue in Workday. You can always click and drill down further. So you'll be able to click that and then go further into your award to get your grant ID numbers. Next slide. Let's do an overview of the sponsored award setup process. So as I said before, Quali KR remains the system of record for research. We will process all of your proposals the same way. We will work with your contract administrator in Aura when your award notification comes in from the sponsor. So for those at College Park, only the research that is awarded will be in Workday. Integration from KR to Workday will run daily, updating the awards, processing new awards and modifications. You will receive a notification from KR when your award is set up. That is not changing. So the notification for Workday, you expect to take 1 to 3 business days for your award to be ready in Workday. We're still planning on that amount of time. So for non-integration campuses, the spending begins once the award is entered into Workday by your campus central office. You will receive a notification from Workday by the central office personnel once it's in Workday. So you will still receive a notification. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about grants management in Workday. So this is a big diagram, but we wanted to show you, and this diagram illustrates the mapping of KFS legacy information to the Workday FDM Foundation data model when making operational transactions. The first row is going to be your KFS information with your account number in red and your organization code in gray, which is your PHR department, and the object code in yellow. The red KFS account number becomes your driver work tag in Workday. Example, your grant, your project, whether it's a gift or use source, which this is an example, we're using the grant in this example. Each driver work tag is going to have related work tags, which are similar to the additional attributes in KFS, such as the fund, your cost center, your higher ed function code, and your balancing unit and assignee. The assignee is the principal investigator from KR. When adding a grant work tag to an operational transaction in Workday, the related work tags will auto-populate, so all the data will pull in. In yellow, we have operational work tags, which categorize revenues and expenses on operational transactions. In this example, we have the spend category, which is similar to your KFS object code. Next slide. So now let's look at how the award and the grants are structured. In Workday, the award line equates to the KFS account number. The number of award lines depends on the number created in KR. There is at least one award line created per award. The first award line is usually the primary line. Workday award lines are connected by the award header. The award header contains the sponsor, the period of performance, type, and purpose. You cannot spend against the award header. That's the AWD number. Spend is against the work tag, which is the GR number. The award line contains your F&A, your period of performance, your billing schedule, which your billing schedule is how your award is going to be billed, and the grant work tag number. In Workday, grant is a universal term, so it describes all types of awards, whether it's a contract or cooperative agreement. Next slide, please. So let's talk about searching for an award. So Workday search feature is similar to the Google search in that it allows you to search for information by entering keywords and phrases, a portion of the word or a fraction of the title. So example, you can type award or grant and then the keywords in your title. There are several ways to search for existing converted accounts of sponsored accounts. You can use the account to driver work tag by typing this into the search bar and then input your current KFS 7-digit account number. You can view your award and your portfolio of award reports, and your converted awards include the existing KFS account number. Your award ID from KR is part of the award title. If the award line is a cost share account, it will include CS or SUB if it's a sub at the end of the award ID number. Next slide. So let's talk about a couple of new features in Workday. So the award lifecycle. So currently we have two options in KFS. It's either open or closed. So in Workday, we have more descriptive values in where we are in the life cycle of your sponsored agreement. The award lifecycle is one of the tools that is used to control spending on the award. For some of us who are familiar with the FRS system, we had the freeze flag. That would stop spending against an account until we were ready to get it closed. We lost this capability with KFS. But in Workday, we're getting back these controls and more. When an award is created in Workday, it is going to come in as either open or and a provisional. The award, the chart, shows the lifecycle values, their definitions, and an explanation of the transactions that are allowed and not allowed when this status is in place. Closeout in progress. We currently have this set to where the value will change from open to closeout in progress on the 120th day after the award end date, should there be no change or no information, no modifications or anything from KR. Sorry, got more here. So here I wanted to go through our life cycle. These are our life cycle combinations between the award header and the award and the grant line. These are the different combinations that are allowable between each of these lines. So if your award is open, your individual grant lines can have the following status of ANA. It could be closed because you could have awards where you're still working and some are closed and some are closed out in progress. But if your award header is closed, then all of your grant lines are either closed or voids. Next slide. So another new functionality that I particularly like is the spend restrictions. And with Workday, we have the ability to proactively stop spending the sponsor has documented in their agreement as unallowable, as not allowable on an award agreement. We have the standard defaults restrictions, which are the no alcohol that's going to be applied to all awards, which is no alcohol, no contributions, and no activities around alumni events and commencement. And then we have the spend restrictions that are per agreement, which are like, for instance, no foreign travel, no travel, and if it's an equipment only. So we have the ability to include only expenses that are allowable and to exclude expenses that are not allowable with the spend restriction functionality. And we will only put these in place. The second ones with the sponsored agreement dictates these are restricted. Next slide. So let's talk about award task. This allows us to track some of the programmatic and financial reporting requirements contained in the agreement, and we can assign those tasks to the central office, which could be your accountant in the SPAC office. It could be for the PI, especially for the programmatic awards, because right now we track these pretty much offline, and now we can put these tasks in the system in Workday and have them assigned as to who is completing and have dates when they're due. So then the reminders are in the system and the information as to who is doing it at a general level will be part of the record in the system and time and date stamped. So then we know what everybody's working on when we have items due to the sponsor, such as programmatic or regular financial reports. So let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, cost share. So in our current process, when the cost share is involved, a cost share account is automatically set up at the time of the award. Post go live, you can continue to use your cost share account that's set up in the legacy system. New process for Workday. We are taking the consolidated approach, meaning no unique cost share accounts will be set up. This means that when cost share is required in Workday, a cost share requirement will be in the award header. This field will be populated with the cost share dollar amount from KR. When you are spending when you are spending and spend is for cost share, you will populate the grant work tag and the department use source work tag. When both work tags are populated on the transaction, according to Workday precedents, the spend will be charged against the use source and considered cost share, and therefore not charged or billed against the grant work tag. So there's no unique cost share use source requirement with the consolidated approach. And the department, you no longer have to do a lot of transfers of funds between cost share accounts and your department accounts that are funding them. It could all stay on your use source, and you don't have to, it stops us from having to do a bunch of transfers to fund those cost share expenses. So before the next step is going to be Samantha to talk about our dashboards.
Thank you, Janice, for familiarizing us with the concepts of Workday grants management and what's changing. And I'm excited to share with you all the dashboard that we've created for you as principal investigators or grant managers. And what this is a hub for you to go in Workday to access your key reports, to check in with how much has been spent on the awards in which you're assigned a role in the grants that sit on them. And it will be personalized to you and the agreements that you are involved in. And I will share my screen here to show it to you all. Okay, so I'm in the tenant right now as an example PI. This is the Workday landing page. You may have seen it, you may not have seen it. This is what it looks like. Keep in mind, we are in a test sandbox tenant, so this is not the production instance of Workday, so there may be some differences as we get to go live in the next few months here. So I'm going to demonstrate here what Janice mentioned regarding the search feature. As you can see, I can enter a portion of the word of the object I'm looking for, and I can see the results here. So I can access the dashboard by clicking Principal Investigators and Grant Managers dashboard here. And I'm going to show you how to add it to your menu here as well, so you can access it from any page in Workday and get to it with one click. So if you go to your menu, you can click the Add Apps button here. Type in the same thing I typed in the search bar at the top, and I can click the plus sign here. And now I have the dashboard attached to the menu in Workday, so I can access it just by clicking right here. While the report renders, I'll familiarize you all with the menu on the sidebar here. We have some key reports like our award budget to actuals, which you could access by clicking this link. We have the award tasks that are linked to the awards that Janice talked about, which may be your programmatic reports, SF 425 reports, a variety of different tasks related to award closeout or reporting. We have our SPEARX report, which returns the expenses for the grants with filters, which is extractable to Excel. The subaward report, which will show you the subawards connected to the awards in which you have a role. The portfolio of awards report, clicking here would return the entire output of this worklet that I will go over in just a moment. That will return it in a report format. Same for the portfolio of grants and the awards expiring in 90 days and expired. We have a few more reports on here, some accounting reports, and then a link to our job aid for the department level individuals. So I'm going to jump back up to the top of the dashboard here. Right here, we have the portfolio of awards. This is a worklet, so it returns a snippet of the portfolio of awards report that's attached on the side. And going from left to right here, I'm going to walk through what this report is telling us. So for this example PI, these are the awards in which they have a role. You won't see another PI's awards returned here. And you have a link to the award, so you can click here to open up the award in a new tab. If you right click, you can do see a new tab. If you click, it will just redirect this page. You have the sponsor, the status of the award. Janice mentioned we have some new statuses other than open and close, such as close out and progress. So if you have an award in that status, you would see that here. We have the start and end dates, the budget, the spend, the remaining balance, the percent used, and the percent time complete relative to the period of performance. I'm going to go through the different indicators we have on this worklet / report. We have a flag if the end date is in the past, just to bring your attention to that award end date and the fact that it will be in closeout in progress soon and go through the process of closing that at the central level. We have indicators on the percent of budget used with some help text here. So if the amount of the budget that has been used is out of sync with the time by over 10%, but less than 25%, you'll have a yellow indicator here. If they're within each other by 10%, you'll have a green circle. And if they're out of sync by more than 25, there'll be a red indicator there. This will help you check in with your awards, how fast the spending's happening, if you need to speed up, if you need to slow it down, if you need to work with your grant manager to determine what to do to get those closer in sync. Scrolling down on the dashboard, we have the portfolio of grants. So Janice shared with you all today that the grants are a part of the award contract. So we have our award header and we have the grants that sit on the award header on the award lines. So the grants view of this report returns the same information with the same indicators, just at a more detailed level. So these grants all sit on an award, but you are able to look into this information at a different level. I'm going to continue to move down. I'm going to talk about this worklet on the right here, the My Awards expiring in 90 days and expired. This is very similar to the portfolio of awards report, except it returns the awards that have ended or are going to end in the next 90 days. So you can look into the budget, the spend, and those same indicators that we had on the report above. With any of these worklets that I've gone over so far, you can click the View More button to run them in their entirety, or do it from the menu as I said before. Scrolling down, we have the expenses by grant worklet. This returns the expenses by object class by grant that have happened over time in both a graphical and tabular format. You have some toggles on the side here where you're able to change the view if you want to see it in a donut view summed across all of your grants by object class. You can change that there. And you also can specify a particular grant that you want to see. So if there was a need for you to look into a single instance, you can refresh the worklet using the gear icon to have it return for a single grant or award. Say you don't like this expenses by grant worklet on your dashboard. Perhaps you like to look at it in a tabular format in the portfolio of grants, portfolio of awards. By clicking this gear icon on the top right of the screen, you can control the order of your worklets. You can move them up, remove them, add them back later, and this will change the view for only you as a PI. You won't be changing another PI in a different department's view by modifying these settings here. I'm going to now show you what the award budget to actuals report looks like. I'm going to open this up in a new tab. And I have a save filter here for an example, so I'm going to run it just for these two awards to give you an idea of what the output of this report looks like. This report, you can see that we have the amount that has been budgeted by object class as well as the actual expenditures by object class. With this first award here, 503, this is an award that is closed. We do not have a detailed budget loaded for this award since we won't be spending on it post go live in the system. So we can see that we have the entire budget in the conversion object class. The actual expenditures still carry the object class detail of where that spend originated from. Looking down to the 09167 award, we can see that we have loaded a detailed budget for this particular award. You can see how useful this report will be once we have that detail. We can compare what has been budgeted and agreed upon by the sponsor versus the actual expenditures. And with this report, you have the ability to drill into those expenses to see the corresponding work tags that are tagged on that original transaction. Just give this a moment here. Apologies. I think that there may be somewhat of a performance issue into drilling into the expenses on this particular report right now. I'm going to show you one other way to look at that without that issue. Before I navigate away from this page, there's an icon here at the top that says export to Excel. You'll see this on a lot of the reports in the system, and clicking on this button will allow you to download the output to look at it in Excel if that appeals to you. So I wanted to look at this particular grant, and I was having a hard time drilling into the expenses. So I'm going to go ahead and run the financial accounting transaction details report. And I'm going to, sorry for jumping around here, I'm going to grab this grant. and I'm going to paste it into the organization, and I'm going to run this report for this particular grant. And what I did is I specified all of the fiscal years, all of the periods for this particular grant, and I got an output of all of the journals that have touched this grant over time. So you can look into, I'm going to look at the conversion source for the purpose of this conversation. Please bear with me a moment. I'm having some slow responses at the moment from the tenant. I'm going to open up the filter criteria of this report after doing a reload of the page. I'm not sure what's causing that, but hopefully it is a little bit better now. I'm going to continue without filtering the report in the interest of time. On this report, you can see the ledger account that was hit, the spend category that was used, the grant that was tagged, a link to it so you can navigate back to the award, the related work tags that are associated with this grant. We heard Janice talk about how the FDM works earlier in the presentation today. So we see that we had a spend category tagged on the operational transaction of 93, and the grant was also tagged. So when that grant was tagged on that transaction, these related work tags followed, and you're able to report on this, and you have the link to the award and the cost center there, and you're able to extract this report to Excel to do analysis if need be. I'm going to navigate back to the dashboard one final time, and then I'm going to turn it over. Navigating back to the dashboard, the final thing I'm going to show is the link to the job aid. You're able to click here and it'll bring you to the external link of the PDF job aid for the departments. And thank you all for joining today to see the dashboard, and I'm going to turn it back over to the team. Thank you.
Thanks, Samantha.
Mm-hmm.
We only have a few more information to go through, and we'll talk about everybody's favorite topic of subawards and what approvals are required and going to be changing with Workday. So next slide. So when a supplier invoice is created for subaward, the invoice will route to the grant manager. This is coming from account in College Park side, coming from accounts payable. So it's going to go to the grant manager, and then it will route to the principal investigator for approval through my task. If the subaward is under COI, conflict of interest management, the subaward will route to the grant manager, and then the grant manager will send the invoice to the COI official for approval. Also, there is a send back button if the grant manager or the PI does not want to approve this, but has to state a reason, and then get a revised or new invoice from the sponsor. So no more hand signing or emails. It will all be done through Workday. And now I'll turn it over to Wendy to talk about effort certification.
Okay, thank you, Janice. In Workday, we'll continue to have 2 effort cycles each fiscal year, which is July 1st through December 31st, then January 1st through June 30th. So currently, these two effort cycles are aligned with pay periods. So pay period 1 through 14 is the first effort cycle, then the remaining pay period is for the second effort cycle. So in Workday, effort cycles are based on calendar days, so which is slightly different from the legacy system. So that means if any pay periods ending within those calendar days will be included in the respective effort cycle. So in Workday, effort reports will be routed to both the principal investigator and the employee itself for certification. So this is an improvement in Workday. So currently, in order for the PIs to approve the others report, the department effort coordinators needed to set up work groups for the PI and then give the PI the approval access. But in Workday, the direct routing to PI process eliminates the need to create work groups, so allowing the PI to approve reports directly. So, so compare this process. I believe this process really streamlines the certification process. So there's another change I want to highlight regarding the effort rules or effort access in Workday. So currently in the legacy system, the central sponsored project office establish all the effort access at different levels, department, unit, or division, and either review access or approval access. However, in Workday, all this security access will be handled by the ERP security team. So department needed to request those rules through ServiceNow tickets. Yeah, this is a general introduction about the effort reporting. Now I hand it back to the team. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have reached our Q&A section. I know some Q&As have been coming through the chat, but this is the time when we can answer some live as well. Let's see. I know some folks have asked if the recording would be made available, and yes, this recording and last week's session for grant managers, they will both be available on the website, on the Elevate website, that is. Samantha, do you see any questions that you'd like to ask and answer live?
There was one, Tatiana, that came in for Janice. There's a question that, what if the funds are private and have no restrictions? Can we lift the standard restrictions? For example, if you are telling the PI that they can't do something with grant funds because federal agreements don't permit those types of expenditures, but the private funds did allow it. What's the policy for that?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. So I would say, yes, we can lift the default restrictions. I would say, for example, not too long ago, we had a study on the effects of alcohol. So alcohol had to be purchased. So there are those instances where those default spend restrictions will not apply, but you want to make sure that it is explicitly approved in your budget what you can use those funds for, because not very many awards, whether it's private or not, will allow the purchase of alcohol to pay for our commencement activities or alumni activities. So if that is allowable, you want to make sure that it is explicitly approved in your budget and not something that maybe the sponsor has told you, the person that you talked to over the phone and said, yes, you can do this. You want to make sure that you have that in writing and that you have that contained in your budget too, that it's approved in your budget in writing.
We have another question here, Janice.
Mm-hmm.
If grant requires separate collection of cash match, parentheses cost share, and tracking of expenditures against the cash match, can a two account still be created like it is now?
Well, I'm learning. We have to stop saying ledger two. It's no, we're going to be the ledger twos. It's going to be a use source. So you can request a separate use source to track your cost share. You can still set that up. What we're trying to do is not have to have you have all these different use sources and set up a separate one. You can still set up your own separate use source account to track your cost share. And so, but though that can be done, so yes, you can. Long way of saying it, yes.
And you'll use that same grant for
Yes.
both the cost share and non-cost share expenses.
Yes.
The instances for the cost share expenses, you're also going to tag that use source, which is going to overwrite the sponsored fund.
Yes.
Another question. We are used to getting emails from Koali. Will that change now?
No. You will still get your emails from Koali, from the pre-award system. As usual, that is not changing. The good part is now that the post-award side, the financial system can also send you a notification, because that was one of the things that we were not able to do, is that you didn't know when your account was set up, when you could start spending. So you will get a notification as normal from Quality Research, from KR, and you will receive a notification from Workday with your award number and with your grant work tag information.
Janice, there's a statement / question here.
Uh-oh.
I assume this is for informational purposes only and does not create any additional responsibilities in terms of grant management for the PIs. Can you talk to what's needed from PIs from what we went over today?
Well, from what's needed from PIs is that we think that the Workday system is actually providing you more information, especially in one place. The dashboards essentially give you where you are with your award, where your how much your spending is versus your time, and it's letting you know when you're coming up on the end of your award. So all those manual reports that some people may have ignored in the past because they get them a lot, is the 90-day reports. We're not going to be sending those anymore. Is that now you'll have that on your dashboard. When your awards are coming up towards the end, you will be able to see that all in one place by pulling up your dashboard. So that is going to help us, what we feel is manage your awards financially better, is that you'll be able to see everything all in one place, instead of having your grant manager has to pull up account by account, especially if you have more than one account under an award, has to pull up each account, download it into Excel, put all of that information together, and then provide you with a report, because all the reports that Samantha showed you can be downloaded into Excel, and it's all in one place. What is different is that in the system, which is what we should have, it's all going to be time and date stamp, is if you have a subaward, and if you have a subaward, the approval will be in the system, time and date stamped, so that will have to be approved. I hope I answered that question or comment.
Well, we have another one. I was hoping you could help with, Janice.
Okay.
It says, concerning Workday for cooperative institutes, is the director of the cooperative institute considered the principal investigator and the task leads considered subawardees, or are task leads also considered PIs?
That question I do not have the answer to. That's more of a pre-award office setup. I can't speak to that in general terms. I would have to defer that question to our KR folks. We can take that question and then we can get back to you, but I'm not sure how to approach that question from a Workday standpoint.
I think that may be all the time we have to ask questions live. We do, there are a few more questions unanswered at this time, but we will be providing a full list of the Q&As that came through. And you can find those on the website after our session in the next week. And I want to thank everyone for attending and taking their time to come out and see what is new and what's the same and what's new with Workday in the grant space for PIs.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.